What's going on, everybody? Opening day, less than 24 hours away. We are all excited, but I'm going to address the elephant in the room first. I'm sure several of you are here just to get this explanation. So, all of the backlash that we've already gotten over selling picks, there are multiple places that I know and trust. Raz Picks, one of them, Bill Krakenberger. They have a system where they sell their betting picks. This is not a tout service. We have a weekly show live. We're going to face all of the comments and questions and everything regarding our picks. This isn't a fly-by-night operation. I'd like to think that we've built up a reputation good enough over the last 2 years of doing this. If you followed me, I've been doing it for 7 years with a proven track record of success betting college baseball. So for the slimy feeling of this was something that we thought long and hard about. And for the people who have said that, well, we do this for fun and our betting account should reflect being profitable, it does. But also, we're providing the tools to go online and get XFIP and Sierra and all this stuff, where D1 baseball charges like $129 a year to get that information. We're going to provide that for free and continue to provide that for free. What we are charging for is connecting you from point A, which is the information, to point B, which is the pick. We're going to determine the value for you, give out the pick that way. If you want to use our website, absolutely free, and do all that work yourself, that's perfectly fine. Don't subscribe. It's not going to be for everybody. However, the work that we are putting in to get you to point B and hopefully in the season once again in a profitable betting market, then subscribe. That's it. That's the gist of it. Nick, Q, you guys have anything else to add before we get into what we're all here for, college baseball?
I would just say that the only other point is, like, we're not out to price couch. I don't think any of us are going to quit our day jobs from this. That's not the intention. That's not the goal. Would I love to make $1 million just worrying about college baseball for the rest of my life? Absolutely.
We all would.
It's unrealistic. So I don't want people to think that, like, we're trying to pay our mortgages and things like that by taking your money. That's not it. We're just trying to recoup operating costs. Like, there's going to be no price gouging. And as more details come out, we'll outline everything. So, there'd be a kind of a facts area of, like, hey, this is how it's going to run. This is, systematically, is how much it's going to cost. But I just want people to keep in mind, you're not paying for my picks individually than you are for Matt's. Like, this is a one price, all inclusive for college baseball minds. It's not separate plans. So just keep that in mind, when we unveil the pricing, which I think is a steal in the sport itself. But I just kind of wanted to clarify that.
Also, it's going to give us some continuity, consistency, and accountability, because I can't tell you how many times last season it would be Saturday, 30 minutes before game starts, lines just come out. We're still trying to do research. We're trying to tweet out, oh, I'm on this. Like this is going to be a lot more structured to end up helping you guys in the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking backstage a little bit how, like, we made 150 units. We're up 150 units between the three of us alone last year. So we were probably thinking, whatever your unit size is, 3 plays that we hit probably will make up for whatever the subscription fee is. Like, it's like you said, it's not going to be anything crazy, like some crazy amount. I mean, we put in, I don't know, like me personally, probably 30 hours a week to this, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less on some weekends, especially during, like, once the season starts, it's literally 30 to 35 hours. And, like, imagine you, like, at home working your job. If you didn't get paid anything for working 30, 35 hours, you'd probably be pissed. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Like you said, I'd be doing this anyway, just wouldn't be giving it out. And that's not even what Matt puts in on the back end with, he's the one that does all these graphics. Like, I don't know if this is something that nobody knows about the show. Matt does every single graphic, every single slide, all that stuff he puts together is in mostly with, like, the website, all that stuff too. So yeah, it's just one of those things where, yes, we all make money alone in our bank accounts from, like, just our gambling side alone, but it's also all the extra work that we put in for you guys, like preseason guides and write-ups and shows like this and everything that that kind of goes towards.
Yes, Sunday Puncher said it best. Really big line moves. We saw Clemson immediately jump.
Kansas State jumped 120 points.
UC Irvine. There's going to be more of that, and we appreciate Lupton boys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll just start with that. Big news
there,
out of Fort Worth, losing Ben Abelt. That absolutely sucks. Which I've got them on the preview card here. I hate to kick somebody when they're down, but you've got to think that's a big ask to replace Abelt, who was just absolutely great as a middle reliever closer. I don't know, San Diego plus 120 right now is kind of looking enticing, but we'll get into all the plays in a little bit. But again, if you're just now hopping in, we've had several new people come in. The whole pay thing, we started this because we wanted to share information, and it was a passion of growing the game. And we're going to continue to do that. That's why we've invested so much into this website. And Nick Dimmitt has been an absolute godsend to have him and to have this kick-ass website. That's all going to be absolutely free. So all you have to do if you want to subscribe, all we're doing is putting you from point A to point B. Get your picks in before the lines move, hopefully. But if you don't want to subscribe, you just want to do the handicapping yourself, by all means, do it. Tune into the show. We'll give you some nuggets when we can, and we'll continue on our merry way. But that being said, so the biggest line move I've seen that I was interested in, assuming it is Aiden Canuck going for Clemson, Oklahoma State. I think they opened minus 110 both ways, and now it's minus 130, 132 at my book here in Arkansas. But have we seen an announcement yet on if starting pitching?
Neither. Yeah,
assuming it's Canuck versus Bodendorf is what I would guess, but that's just a guess. Neither team has announced it.
Yeah.
You guys make a bet yet on that? Did y'all both jump on Clemson?
We did. I think we both posted it too.
Yep.
Yesterday. It's kind of steady. It's one of those lines that it took off for a little while, but it's kind of steady now. So if you're just now catching our plays or joining the show, you should be able to get Clemson. If you like Clemson, you should still be able to get a really good number with them. So
I think I'm more intrigued to find out who Oklahoma State is going to pitch, because they've got several transfers. I think Harrison Bodendorf out of Hawaii.
Yeah, he's the one I said. It's either him or Lund is what I would like. Those would be my top two is what I would assume.
Yeah, that lineup is still scary. If it's not Canuck, I'll feel a little less confident in it. But I'm curious.
I mean, they got Ethan Darden. He should be all right.
Michael Gillen, the transfer from Seton Hall. Yeah. That should be good.
Another note there. They're missing Eric Package.
Yeah.
Eric Package will be doing the press conference from a hotel.
Yeah, he's calling the game from he's calling the game on that
one of Les Miles.
Yeah, Clemson radio.
Yeah.
So San Diego bullpen, I'm not 100% brushed up on them. I know that those West Coast teams, especially the small ones, UC Irvine's on the board, they're sneaky. Like they're going to put a lot of value in beating a Power 5 or Group of 4, whatever we're calling it nowadays. I feel like they try a little harder. They may throw their ace, especially like in midweeks and stuff, just to try to get that win, boost their RPI. So I wouldn't be surprised if San Diego kind of goes balls to the wall to try to beat TCU, get their season started.
TCU, I think, and then we'll just kind of, since you're on it, losing your far and away best pitchers this close this season, like how do you regroup from now until tomorrow? It's different if you lose them in like early spring. You have some guys that can kind of step up, but like the shock factor, they have a lot of pressure from last year. They had a great transfer portal last year. Things didn't work out for them. And that's a lot of pressure because they had just come from Omaha and had a good young talent team. And Maxwell leaves to go to Arkansas and some other guys get drafted. Like then you lose your best pitcher. How do you overcome that in less than 24 hours against Matt, like you said, a West Coast team that's chomping at the bit to get a signature win, to make a name for themselves early on in the season and get noticed? I mean, that's a tough situation for the Horned Frogs to be in.
Yeah, hopefully the Lupton boys can tell us if if it's going to be Caden Parker or Tommy Lepore, the transfer from Wichita State. Because I actually think if it's Lepore, they're going to be fine.
I thought they announced Parker.
Did they?
I'm wrong. Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Well,
there's another name on that staff that they have, and he had a rough year last year, but Arkansas knows him all too well. And this is a perfect opportunity for Cole Klecker to regroup mentally, figure things out, and, steal a spot. Get back to what you were 2 years ago. And the Lupton boys probably know that the best. I'm not saying he had a great camp by any means, but he has a great opportunity because he has pitched really well. So it's a big opportunity for them.
Yeah, and they're going to Baumler on Sunday too. So he's not even in the starting three, even after losing. Even without Klecker, Klecker's still not throwing this weekend, or at least starting. Yeah. Oh, Klecker's hurt too. Okay,
I didn't realize he was hurt. Still, yeah. All right, well, scratch that.
See, that's why we got other people in here. We need fan bases. We need fans from everywhere.
There we go. 305 teams or whatever it is. Track of
Come
all.
on, Long Island. We need the Sharks in here.
So let's stay in the ACC here. North Carolina, another one of the shorter shots to win it all. Taking on Texas Tech. Tim Tadlock has always got a formidable team for Big 12 standards. We'll see. I think Big 12 is just absolutely wide open now, which it was before the season. I don't think Oklahoma State is deserving of being the shortest shot at like plus 200. I think you could afford to make a longer shot bet there if those markets are still open for you. I personally really like Kansas. I think they're like plus 2,000 to win the Big 12. I feel like it's whoever wins it is going to be just a hair above 500 in conference play. So you might as well roll the dice. But Texas Tech, you giving any love to the Red Raiders here as they sit as I pull it up.
Big underdog tonight.
Yeah.
Or tomorrow.
Tonight.
No, I'm not.
Thinking it's Friday.
I keep doing that, man.
He kept saying who's going to start.
I know.
He kept saying who's going to start tomorrow.
You're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
This is a true home game for UNC, I believe. Yeah. It's going to be, kind of chilly. Obviously, Texas Tech, they had some chilly games early last year, but they lost so much. Gage Harrelson, starting center fielder. Gavin Cash, like a couple guys from the pen, the starter. When you look, UNC is presumably going to throw Jason DeCaro, but even if they don't throw him, like they have Folger Boaz, they have Aiden Hall, guys that can step in that are 1-2 guys on any other team. They lost obviously Vance Honeycutt. They had Tyson Bass, who it seems to be the real deal, and some other guys. Luke Stevenson's back. Vanderbrake got the approval to come back. So I just think UNC being at home is just too hard to pass up. They're not a team that you just lay because there's no run line out yet, but they're an absolute great parlay piece. I think they start the season off strong.
Yeah, I think they win the series here
tomorrow at work.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Left the drinking club starting early, 11 a.m. laptop.
That's it.
For sure. No, you got to have a different second game or third game on the laptop. But, yeah, I think North Carolina wins this series. Would I be surprised if Tech steals one? No. I think with that offense he always has, offense is going to, especially this early in the season, offense usually kind of carries a little bit. It is going to be chilly, so that's a little bit concerning when it comes to the bats. But that's a tough trip for Tadlock. You come up from West Texas, probably been outside literally all spring, and then you come to North Carolina in a true road game to start the season in a hostile environment. That place will be up, coming off the College World Series. They're going to be ready for weekend one. I think North Carolina wins this series. I could see it being a sweep, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Tech steals one.
We have early games. Central Time, 9 a.m., UConn versus Stetson.
Oh, man.
You bet your ass I'm watching.
That's a good one, too. That's probably two regional teams.
Stetson always has quality players. People don't realize the state of Florida, those small schools, those guys are the ones that transfer to these big schools because they showcase years. There's really good talent at those mid-majors down there, especially on a weekday upset. Those are the teams we look for, the Stetsons, the Jacksonvilles, the North Floridas, Florida Gulf Coast. Don't sleep on those guys. And you got to think they're hyped to be a UConn team who I said it on our preseason show. If James Tibbs wasn't there, UConn was going to be in Omaha.
Jordan said, never thought I'd be a Kentucky fan. Neither did Q. But my buddy's throwing game one at Lipscomb. Hashtag Big Blue Nation. Yeah, Kentucky is an interesting team this year. They lost a lot.
I would probably say that's my most unpredictable. Like, if you just go SEC only, that might be the most unpredictable team this year. Between them and Auburn, for me, is probably like the two that just like such a wide span of outcomes.
I'll throw South Carolina in there too. I think South Carolina with Paul Maneri is going to be an interesting storyline. Like
I just don't think their ceiling is as high as like Kentucky's could be or Auburn's could be.
Yeah.
I think we kind of know South Carolina is like a 9 to 12 type team, or which also could fall to like 15 or 16. But I could also see Kentucky with Mingione if he just rebuilds. Like, there's still some absolute talent on that team, and then their culture and everything.
Coach Carroll, like basics, fundamentals, small ball, just focus on those. And UVA too, to a certain extent, like they focus on the fundamental aspect of the game, and they beat teams who make those errors and they don't. It's hopefully Todd Harris is in here. It was awesome to meet you out there, but I don't think you'll be making the trip this year. Devin Burke's great leader, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Gonna miss the blue mustache too.
All right, put a bow on Texas Tech, North Carolina, and we can move on. Texas Tech plus 220, North Carolina minus 305. Can I entice you to take the Red Raiders here?
Not in game one.
Not in game one, correct.
All right, another line that I think is wildly mispriced. Arkansas minus 530 against Washington State. Grant Taylor is gone. That was their ace last year. Washington State would have been a little scarier of an opponent. This is a 4-game series. I don't think Arkansas goes 4-0, but Gabe Yackel, I'm assuming, is going. Well, actually, I confirmed that. And then Washington State, I believe, is throwing. Let me see. While I'm looking at this, do you guys have any opinion? Griffin Smith.
I'll be honest, Washington State is one of the things I did not cover. So I'm not going to sit there and say I know 305. I'll say this. The one thing I actually do think Arkansas could start 4-0 because they dropped that game against JMU last year. I think Dave Van Horn, we'll take that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I think Dave Van Horn this year, I think there's a little pressure in Fayetteville. He took a lot of heat for back-to-back pretty piss-poor postseason runs. I give him credit. He actually went out and got some offensive quality at batters and playmakers. The staff, again, it's a Dave Van Horn staple, almost bulletproof front staff. And I've got to think he's got to remind him, hey, you guys let JMU come in here and take one. I understand it was cold, but that's not how we play Arkansas baseball. So I think there's a little heightened pressure on the Hogs this year to make a name for themselves, especially offensively. So I think they'd actually do sweep.
All right, Virginia, Michigan. Michigan, not so scary. They played Arkansas close in Arlington last year. Virginia, though, I think they're just an absolute powerhouse.
Virginia powerhouse. I don't think there's any question. They're going to roll through this tournament.
Yeah, especially Friday. I think with Woolfolk, I think that's just a matchup against Michigan. You talk about Michigan. We talk about Northern schools all the time. This sport means more North versus South than anything. I mean, basketball, you're inside all the time. Football, you can practice inside, outside. Doesn't matter. Baseball matters. And this is going to be Michigan, going south. And then Virginia with Woolfolk. I actually used Virginia in a parlay. I'm not sure if Q did too, but I matched them up with Indiana, who's playing UNLV, get me to minus 115. So I thought that was a good play, because I do think I wouldn't be surprised if Virginia kind of rolls here just because the bats will get hot.
Okay, so Virginia, North Carolina, Arkansas moneyline parlays plus 103. Who loses it?
Arkansas.
Bold. Jordan says,
don't hate that.
How many consecutive years can Hog fans deal with poor hitting? Listen, you'll see Nate Thompson needs to be fired. I've kind of harped on it. I think this is a turnaround year for the Razorbacks. We didn't have a single batter that hit over 1,000 OPS. I think we're going to have at least 3, maybe 4 or 5. I just think Rocco Pepe coming over, Kendall Diggs being fully healthy, Vahiva Aloy shaking off the rust. He really had a better back end of the season than he did last year.
He settled in strong.
Really hurt his stat line, but I think the Razorbacks hitting will impress some people, and we know about the pitching depth. I actually got into a conversation yesterday about our with Jake McKeever over at College Baseball Central, how they kind of forced Tiger into that starting role. He was never a starter. He wasn't a good starter in high school, even though they tried to force it. I love the kid, but when you can't throw a fastball in the SEC, you have no business being a starter. And then Mason Molina was a decent Band-Aid, but you look at the starting rotation as a whole, you have Hagen Smith, who's an A+, you have Molina that's a C+, and a Tiger that's an F or a D. That I would take B+, B+, B+ over that all day. I know we lost Hagen, but Gabe Gackle turned down a ton of money to come to college. So
I think they have qualified starters too with Landon and Zach Root behind there. Like those guys started games, so this is nothing new to them. Like the Tiger. Yeah.
All right. So we're all on Virginia.
Yeah.
TCU, San Diego. We kind of touched on it.
Why don't you just like comment about Smitty in there? Well, since we already covered San Diego.
Which one?
From RS Clen.
No. That one. I know Todd isn't in, but what's the line?
I don't know if you watched the show last year, but it was like he's ordering dirt. What do you get? Like Arkansas, Kentucky,
Indiana,
TCU, and I would say over under 3.5 for the season.
Yeah, he better use that home field apparel.
Yeah,
insider's code there. Stock up. Okay, Louisville, Texas. This is intriguing to me. Jim Schlossnagle comes over, Max Bellew. We know Texas is going to be solid. They may not be able to compete in the SEC yet, but Louisville's getting a lot of love in that ACC, especially in that dark horse race. Do you think Louisville pulls this upset? They're sitting at plus 125, Texas minus 162. These baseball lines are absolute robbery, by the way. Well, 162 and only getting plus 125 on the other side.
I know it was a different coaching regime, but last year Texas struggled in the opening tournament. Would they lose to Louisiana or Houston early?
Houston, I believe, yeah. Or Baylor. I think it was Baylor.
They lost 2 in that tournament, too early. And Schlossnagle's got a lot of pressure. You know, the way everything went down. Obviously, he's got good offensive weapons in Flores and Bellew. They can hit in these ballparks and hit it far, which I think is an advantage. Louisville lost, Kyle and some other guys to the portal, Casimir, I think, as well. I think it's just going to be too much. I think Texas has to make a stance here and get a quality ACC matchup win here. What was it? It's Texas like minus 160.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a terrible lay. I think it probably should be a little closer only because there's question marks on the Texas pitching staff. But a lot of these lines have just been blown out of proportion. This is one that you could probably get away with playing as a single bet if need be.
I took Louisville plus 125. Figure roll the dice. Let's back some dogs here.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. Like I think Texas will be the better team come like the midpoint of the season. But what Louisville does have, their 1-2 punch with Forbes and Detmers are like those are experienced guys that have been around. Yeah. Like you kind of know what you're getting from them. And I mean, they haven't named who's starting. Texas also hasn't said who they're starting Friday. If it's Jared Spencer, like yes, he looks like Chris Sale out there, and like people are gonna see like from Indiana State transfer. Dude is talented and crazy, but he's always just pitched out of the bullpen. So if he's expected to be their Friday night guy, what do we get out of him? And especially in his first like real big matchup at Texas. This isn't the pressure you get at Indiana State. Like now you're wearing a Texas Longhorns uniform, and in an opening tournament down there, like the pressure is going to be on. And what do we get from him too? Like a reliever who's only like ever thrown 3-4 innings. Like, do we really think they're going to stretch him out to 6-7? And then we've all been kind of question mark on that Texas Longhorns bullpen, like coming into the season. That's going to be probably one of their most like negative points. Like Max Wiener probably did a great job in the offseason, but there's only so much you can do with certain talent in the bullpen. So say you get good 3 or 4 out of Jared Spencer, then kind of what comes next? When like if it's Detmers, you're probably getting 6 for Louisville. So that's where I haven't played this, and I probably won't. I just think like if maybe Texas was more around that like 130, 135 range, then it'd probably be worth it. I just think 160 is a little bit too much of a price to pay.
The cost of flow is $150 annually. Comes out to $12.50 a month, or the monthly plan of $29.99.
Which, yes, every year I think I've done that for the last like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I forgot to cancel it one year.
Oh,
I tried to send them an email to see if they'd backdate the cancellation. They could see that I hadn't logged in. He was like, "Yeah, no shot."
Yeah, I will buy it tomorrow morning, and then I will cancel it on the 14th of March.
Yeah,
because there's like this isn't just this tournament either. Like Flow had like this the next 3 or 4 weeks. Flow has the like big turn, like some of the big tournaments. So it's not like you're just
on the
Flow for one. Yeah.
All right, Kansas State, that number up to -210. Washington plus 160. Kansas State
so bad last year,
and they're still rebuilding.
Yeah, Kansas State's a great parlay piece. I know it's early for them. Both teams are traveling pretty far, going to Coastal Carolina and Myrtle Beach. But man, Washington was bad. And they didn't improve. I'm sorry. Like I'm not going to the game. I'm going to be down there. I'm going to select the games. And this is not one of them that I've selected, but they're a great parlay piece.
Yeah, Delta Dime said Flo stole so much of my money last year.
Oh.
Yeah, they get you, dude. I need to set a reminder to cancel it.
Yeah.
I actually think they'll run tournaments through the end of February. It's like February 28th through March 1st is the last Arlington tournament.
Yeah.
Okay, UIC and Nebraska. This is another one that I went ahead and bet. Irvine -130. I think they opened plus money, though. Just that line move, everybody kind of thinking Nebraska, maybe the Nebraska of last year with Brett Sears. But I think UIC, it's another one of those small West Coast teams that I think makes a name for themselves, get a Power 4 win. So I'm on Irvine here.
Well, we know that didn't actually cover them because they're UCI.
What did I say? UIC?
UIC about 3 times in Illinois, Chicago.
Nice.
I don't even know if they have a baseball
the
team.
Flames.
Yeah, they're good. They're picked to finish second or third, I think, in the Valley.
Yeah, Coach Carroll talking about them. No, I'm on Nebraska here. I mean, I know Irvine has historically had some good seasons. They've been a little down the past, let's say, 5 to 7 years. Same with Cal State Fullerton and a couple others out there. Mason McConaughey should be getting a start for the Cornhuskers. They have a lot of momentum off last year, made the tournament. Obviously, they ran into Florida and Oklahoma State. Didn't make it far, but that's great for the program. Like, that's something that they haven't been to in a long time. And, the Big Ten champions last year, I think Illinois got in a regular season, or maybe I can't remember the regular season. But anyways, Gabe Swanson got light hot, towards the end of the season. And I think that continues. And they have a couple other, small contributors at the offensive side. So I think just the momentum carried on there, the belief in the program. Now I think it's just a little too much for the Anteaters. And I think McConaughey gets the first win of the season.
Yeah, McConaughey is going to be great. I think this is one where it's like, yes, you're missing Brett Sears, but you're missing depth. Like McConaughey is not going to be an issue on Fridays. I think it's more of what's Nebraska going to do on Saturday, Sunday. So I think in this one, it's pitching versus offense. Like UC Irvine, if you haven't followed the sport closely, like this team can mash, and that's like never changes. It's like it is somehow if you watch these guys, it's like a revolving door of 6'2", 200-pounders, like at every position, just rolling through. And I think it's the same way this year. You got Martinez on there who could just slug. Like that guy's probably he might drop 25, 30 home runs this year. I think this team is stacked offensively. So this comes down to, is pitching or hitting ahead. So I haven't touched this one yet. I'm like waiting to see where this number ends up because I've been surprised how much it's moved so far. So I kind of want to see where this ends before I touch either side.
And then another compelling matchup, Arizona, who I think, Nick, you picked to win
the Big 12. Yeah.
Big 12, taking on Ole Miss, getting Hunter Elliott back, who's going to go off Tommy John surgery. I think Ole Miss is the play here.
So my thing is, I don't know how good Elliott's going to be. We haven't seen him. It's been like 600 days since we've seen him on the mound. yes, reports out of spring camp was good. Like, yes, they say like he had a great like kind of winter and he's been building up and has been good. But also, like, how often do you hear negative reports come out of like spring camps for like SEC schools? Like, nobody says, "Oh, this pitcher's throwing awful." So I'm kind of interested to see because this isn't a deep Ole Miss starting staff. I mean, they're like it's Hunter Elliott needs to perform for them. As tough as their offense is going to be this year, they need to perform. Arizona is not going to have an issue offensive. So Hunter Elliott, yeah, they are so good offensively. Yeah. They're going to match. And McKinney's great. McKinney on Fridays is going to be like has a chance. So it's like my dark horse. I can't remember who I talked about it, but like if there's like a dark horse Big 12 pitcher of the year, like watch out for McKinney. Like this guy's been great, or is going to be great. Sorry, transferred in, going to be very good. So we'll see. This one is I would lean Arizona here. I like where this number at. Didn't play it last night because it's like it weirdly like moved like 10 cents out of nowhere, and it seemed like everybody was taking Ole Miss, but then the line was moving towards Arizona, so it was kind of a little strange. So we'll see where this one is up. I think overall roster wise, this Arizona team is just better. The question mark here is which Hunter Elliott do we get? Do we get the guy who's a top 5 pitcher in the country, or do we get the guy who just you can tell hasn't thrown in 600 days in a live game, so he's a little bit rusty?
Yeah, I think Nick said it best. It's you just don't know what you're gonna get. Even if he does come out hot, Nick, you can attest to this. Like there's spring training throwing great. Obviously, alluding to every report is usually decent at minimum, but there's a ramp up level like scrimmaging versus your own guys and then ramping up for that first game. You know, does that potentially cause another injury because now you're reaching that gear that maybe you haven't reached to? Like obviously you're injury prone. It's 2 years since you've pitched. That's a concern. Depth, like does he go more than 3 2/3 innings, or are they going to try to really push this 6 innings? You know, probably not. Who's behind him? The offense, like you said, like Arizona has Mason White come back. I think they had like 7 offensive returning guys come back. And then McKinney pitched really good for Baylor last year. I mean, I talked about it in the preseason show. You know, the coaching staff, it's deja vu, right? 3 new starters for their guys.
Yeah, 2 years in a row.
Yeah, 2 years. But damn if they weren't one of the best staffs by the end of the season with Jackson Kent and a couple other names. McKinney's a great place to have a problem there on Friday nights, and he's a great starting point to build that quality staff. And I think it's just going to be too much for Ole Miss to handle opening day.
I'm going to be opposite, I guess. I'm going to SEC over Big 12. Over a down Big 12 at that. We do have confirmation here. Folger Boaz will go for North Carolina.
I like
it. Would be South Florida transfer Jack Siebert going for Texas Tech. Last year, Siebert had a 5.72 ERA at USF, pitched 74 innings with a 7-6 record.
So then what? Probably DeCaro Saturday. So then I'd probably look at let's see what the Texas Tech line is Sunday then. Like
Folger was lights out when he was pitching last year.
I know. I'm just like DeCaro obviously is not someone I want to bet against. That's why I thought he was going to. I would assume he was going to be tomorrow. So if Folger goes so then Sunday I'd be interested to see if North Carolina wins the first 2, like Texas Tech's going to fight to get a game because this is huge. This is a huge RPI boost for them, like on the road. This is a big win.
No announcement on day 2 starter for North Carolina. It will be Mac Hewer going for Tech Saturday.
And he's who I thought there was the number 1 coming in.
So maybe they're pitching off, taking the L in game.
I hope not. Game 1.
I mean, UNC's got Aiden Hall still that they could throw.
Yeah.
But I'm not. Folger was an absolute stud the first 8 weeks he pitched. I'm not fading him by any means.
All right. Anything else you guys are looking at on the board? One line that I thought was kind of funny. Missouri is a minus 180 favor over Penn State.
Yeah, without Logan Lunsford.
I mean,
Gambino's building something in Happy Valley. Great coach. Got some transfers. Paxton Kling.
Doubleheader Friday. We're going to see a lot of that.
We're about to see like 300 games tomorrow, and I am not complaining. Bad thing is we're going to get about 12 on Saturday.
I know.
They should just build domes
okay.
all over.
Domes.
Yeah, you mentioned Penn State though. Like I know some people. I can't remember who I saw. Like there was like some plus 150 out there is where I think it opened. I think right now it's sitting around 130. I am looking to play Penn State. I am waiting just to like open the book. I'm waiting to see if Ryan DeSanto's pitching. He's who I think is going to get it. This is a guy who came in, transferred in, and then like absolutely dominated in the Cape this summer. He's kind of three-quarter arm slot, kind of dirty. So it's not one of those like just straight over the top that you want to see game one. And then, yeah, I'm just not hot. Like, I don't know how Mizzou is that big of a favorite. Like, I wish you were getting Penn State at a bigger number still. Like, it only moved 15 cents. But I'll still I'm probably leaning Penn State, but I want to see who they throw first. And then, but yeah, so pay attention. Keep those Penn State baseball notifications on because probably as soon as you see that he's throwing, that number is going to move because a lot of kind of like sharps like us that pay attention will be hitting Penn State.
Yeah, I really want to bet
Penn
State right now.
A couple teams I'm eyeing like parlay pieces. They're not on our board, but Duke's and Kyle Johnson. I really like that. True home game.
Yep.
Another one was Arizona State. Ben Jacobs.
I actually have Duke with Arizona State.
Yeah. I mean, great lineup. Those guys can absolutely match the ball. I like them. And, you mentioned Indiana against UNLV, UC Santa Barbara against Campbell.
With Bremler. Yeah.
With Bremner and then, Campbell losing their head coach. I mean, all the momentum, like how does that, come around for them? And Houston's another good team. Like Cade Kleiman came over, matched the ball in JUCO. I think he hit 20 plus home runs, high batting average, decent. I'm drawing a blank. It's not Drezek. It's they have a decent Friday starter, and I can't think of his name.
For who?
For Houston.
Oh, are you talking about Ryan Dollar?
Ryan Dollar
or
yes.
Schmitz? Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Dollar is going to start. He's not bad at all for that. So I like them a lot. And then another one I was looking at was Stanford. Cal State. I know they play them tough, but they've been really bad. Stanford, Rentaro. I mean, Matt Scott is presumably who I think they're going to start. I don't think they've announced yet.
Mm-hmm.
They're expecting huge things out of him. Offensively, they returned a lot. I just think this is a spot where Stanford wants to take control of the West again and make a name for themselves. They had a bad year last year. They're too good of a team to struggle in back-to-back years, and I think they get it started early and often.
Yeah, they returned their entire pitching staff. Their entire weekend rotation returned. They brought back five position players. Obviously, added retirement Sasaki, who he's going to be all eyes on TV. And it's for good and bad reasons. Like everyone wants to see him either just go nuts and like he could have just an insane season, or there's haters out there that just want to see like someone like that just like crash and say like, see, this is why like Japanese pro players just can't come fit in like this quickly. So he's going to be must see TV. So, but yeah, I think Hugh nailed most of my parlay pieces. The only ones he didn't mention, like I'm big on Georgia Tech. I'm big on Georgia Tech Friday.
I don't have that line being in Virginia because they're playing ODU. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that was a big one I'm in. And then I was lucky enough to pair them with Florida State before that line blew up. So I like paired them together at minus 108. And I checked it today, and I think now it's at like minus 142 if you try to pair those two together. So that was kind of a lucky one. It's not out there anymore. But the other ones you mentioned, you said Virginia, Indiana, UCSB, Stanford, Duke, Arizona State. So you basically named the exact same parlay pieces we're in on. Kind of behind like the screen, how I do it is like, I don't know how like these two do it since obviously it's my first year here. But I try to get every line like as close or pretty close to about as 100 as I can if it's like a 2-team parlay. So it's not like I go for like, here's the two that I think are most likely to win, or like here's two questionable marks, or let me put one question mark with one like a guaranteed one. I try to kind of get them as close to like plus 100 as I can. Out of the parlay pieces I like. Like, yes, you'll see me put some maybe 3-teamers that end up at like plus 130 or just something I like. But yeah, usually you'll see me. It's something like I'll love like a big favorite and like pair them up with a team that I think is going to win that I don't like on the run line type of thing, and just try to move that number down. So that's kind of how I play it, and everybody will kind of get to learn that more as the season goes on if they haven't listened to me or know who I am.
Probably.
Yeah, I'm similar.
We'll get run lines tonight.
I hope. There was a couple exceptions 2 years ago when Paul Skeens and Rhett Latta were pitching. I would lay, minus 238 because I felt like you were actually getting a hell of a price at that number. Because I think they were like minus 450 in reality. Is what they should have been. So like I would lay those. I typically try to lay, and it's hard. Like sometimes UVA is minus 175, and I really like that, so I'll lay it. I got Florida State late through an alternative source, so the line blew up. But Jamie Arnold and a UVA, parlay at minus 160, like I can't pass that up. To me, that's almost as free as money as you can. But overall, I am like with you, Nick. I try to get it down to either plus money or as close I can be. But I also think at sometimes it's just unrealistic, and you just have to lay some juice, especially in this sport.
College baseball,
volatile. But yeah, no, I think we're all, whether it's you, me, Smitty, or Matt, we're all kind of in the same alignment there that we try our best. It's hard.
Yeah, so, I mean, just to give I was just gonna say, like, it probably spent me I don't know how many games are on DraftKings I didn't count. Probably about, what would you guys say, 20?
I think
somewhere around 20-ish. I probably spent 2.5, 3 hours last night alone just on my pairing my parlay pieces and what I liked. So that's kind of how much you have to think about it and put into it, which numbers work best with which, who's playing who, what, that type of stuff. So yeah, it's not like I'm just saying okay, I like this team to win, and let's go.
Yeah.
So looking at a bunch of big favorites that are all minus 1,000 or more, you've got Holy Cross at Auburn, Toledo at Oregon, Elon at Texas A&M, North Dakota State at DBU, Lehigh at Oklahoma, Purdue Fort Wayne at LSU, Manhattan at Mississippi State, Fordham at NC State, Hofstra at Tennessee, Air Force at Florida. I feel like one of them's getting upset.
It's prideful.
Which one's it going to be?
They lost to St. John's last year to Tennessee.
I know. That's kind of what I was alluding to. Is you can obviously you have to be careful, but I wouldn't do a 10-piece parlay.
Is that even plus? Is that even plus money?
And minus 115.
Ooh.
He said. Jordan said, "Sprinkle it all." Yeah, I mean, it's baseball.
Sport is so weird.
Where you can. Somebody's getting upset though.
I'm just waiting for Paul Screens' twin brother to pitch for tomorrow for Air Force. It just diced the game.
Right. Well, that's kind of what worries me about Washington State and Arkansas, because Arkansas has an uncanny ability to have let one guy just become an all-star against them.
Air Force probably has
do anything else the rest of the year.
Yeah. Air Force has a 27-year-old that nobody knows about. But
throw 98. Yeah.
He just got done with his 6 years of service, and now he's throwing.
He's 40 years old, has 3 kids, a mortgage. Yeah. Now he's out there. That's Will McIntyre for the Hogs.
Note, Nick, Fisher and Peebles did get cleared to play. I know you probably knew that, but there was some questioning there. Not that they need to beat. Who are they playing? Fordham.
Hofstra, yeah.
Hofstra, yeah. They're not going to need him, but it's just of note. They were dealing with some arm stuff.
Yeah.
And they'll be
Fisher's has been fine. Fisher's his was just soreness. And his was 2 weeks ago. So he's been throwing. He's still been taking ground balls and everything and throwing across the diamond. He just hasn't been in the scrimmages playing third. And then Peebles was the more concerning one because they thought initially that was sort of a tendonitis type thing, which you guys kind of know. Tendonitis can react so many different ways. It can be healed in 3 to 4 days, or it can just nag for 4 weeks. But he should be good to go. I doubt he probably only catches one. I mean, they're Tennessee's loaded behind the plate this year.
I don't think I'd be surprised if he doesn't get out of that DH spot.
Yeah, I mean, well, it depends on. I mean, let's see. I don't want to mention on here, but let's see who gets announced eligible. But then you also, you have Bargo, who's a back. Dalton Bargo's a backup catcher he can catch. The staff's happy with. So I think Peebles will definitely hit this weekend, at least in some capacity. But I definitely don't think he catches more than one game. Just at this point, why? Just get him healthy. 4 weeks from now when SEC play starts.
Agreed.
All right. Well, I was looking for another comment that I wanted to touch on real quick. somebody had asked about any futures plays. Ryan, a little late to the party here, but do you guys have a best bet or pick to win it all? My biggest positions are on Arkansas 15-1, Virginia. I got it 23-1, and then hit them again at 12-1. The fact that Circa posted Virginia plus 950 just tells me a lot. I really respect Jeff Davis and his odds making. So if you're ever in doubt to try to determine some value, just look at his numbers and compare them to the numbers you can get as far as that goes. And then Clemson and Georgia, I think, are worth a flyer on to make the College World Series. I think they're around plus 300 on DraftKings right now.
Yeah.
Kind of like you guys.
I have Virginia pretty heavily at 26-1. Pretty much what I'll do is I look at the 8 that I pick, or whatever, 6 for the guide. And if you think they're going to make it, it's worth putting a flyer on at minimum. Obviously, some teams are going to be heavier. So I have a couple flyers, but I would say that the major teams for me, A&M, right, because we talked about it, they have the roster to do it. Nobody's going to be surprised. And recent history shows typically the worst odds team has won, i.e. LSU, Tennessee, all season long. That's to know in this sport. So I've got a heavy amount on A&M. I have a little bit on Tennessee if A.J. Russell can come back and that pitching staff can solidify prior to his arrival because offensively they're great. I put little money on Florida if their pitching staff lines up. Like, the talent is there. It's just whether they can compete. I mean, offensively, they're going to be just fine. But Virginia is definitely my heaviest. I think they're the most complete team in terms of depth, offense, experience. You need that out in Omaha, and Brian O'Connor's going back to his second home, typically. And I also have Florida and UVA heavily to make Omaha because I think there's really good value there, especially Florida plus 225. That's all factors out. Sully is Brian O'Connor's neighbor in Omaha, and that's just how it always ends up playing out, whether they have a bad season or not. So
even when they steal a bid from College of Charleston,
we're not going to argue semantics here. You're probably right, but we're not going to go there. But yes, nonetheless, like,
any love for Stetson to make it to Omaha at 66-1?
No.
I think the transfer portal has killed the small schools because they're losing their best players.
In my opinion, at a mid-major.
Yeah, I think there's about 5. Like, you're getting like Dallas Baptist, ECU, Southern Miss. I'm sure I'm missing a couple, but like, it's basically those main ones that you just know are going to bring back the Troy. That's just going to be loaded every year that don't really have to worry about transferring out outside of maybe 1 or 2, like Zach Root. But and his was a sort of a different situation anyways. Like, that whole thing is a different deal. But yeah, it's tough. Like, do I think Stetson gets in it? Yes, because I think they win the A-Sun. I think it's either between them or Austin Peay this year. So, I mean, yes, we've seen anything can happen. Like, they'll probably be a 3 seed. Their RPI won't be like, league's not going to be that good outside the top 3 or 4. So that's going to be tough RPI wise not to get a 3, and especially where Stetson's located. Like, down there in Florida, that means you are getting sent to a regional. Either you're at Florida or like you're at LSU or you're at Georgia or Tennessee. Like, you're getting an SEC team for the most part. Yeah, you're getting an SEC team for the most part, or maybe it's like big ACC team. So that's kind of what makes it tough. And in that situation, like, what I would say, like, honestly, just because this popped in my head, if you wanted to bet that, I would wait. I think you'll get that number. That number probably won't change that much between now and like right before like Omaha, or like not Omaha, but right before like the regionals get announced. I doubt like that Stetson, like these books don't follow college baseball enough to move that like a Stetson number that much. So
there's only about 30 teams they focus on.
So I would not play them now.
That's something else I want to touch on real quick. Our website does have projections up. What Nick has done is he's using a lot of weighted stats kind of from last year, but until we get stats for this year, every team is not accurate right now. But give it a couple weeks, let some stats compile, and
that'll be any site you try to use right now.
Yeah, I feel a lot more comfortable going with those win probabilities. And then Jordan, to close us out, said anyone in the Big Ten that needs more attention, wishing the Hawks didn't flop last year. Yeah, I agree. I really liked Iowa last year with Morgan and Breck. I'm really high on Oregon. Grayson Grenzel, I think, is a true ace. And I think that lineup is just deadly enough where, I mean, they should be the short shot. I think it's even money right now for them to win the Big Ten. So I think Oregon was a sleeper team that I really wanted to bet on to make the College World Series. But again, I don't think their odds are going to shift that much. Let's get a couple games under their belt, and we'll see exactly how that pitching rotation lines up. And then you can attack it then. And then Delta Dimes just said, dude, your website is blocked by the UVA Wi-Fi. I would sneak through the content blocker.
Really?
Radar. That's how I take that.
Yeah. What is that? Yeah. Maryland is criminally undervalued at 30-1 in the Big Ten. Yeah. I also think the same could be said, like I said earlier, for the Big 12. If you don't love Oregon, you should take a longer shot to win the Big Ten.
Mm.
I think it's wide open.
Yeah, I think outside of, I would say Oregon, Nebraska, and then you could literally put in a box like Penn State, Maryland, USC, UCLA, Indiana. There's just like a bunch. Like USC is one, like you said, dark horse. That's kind of where I would put USC. Like you have Caden Aoki back, Michael Ebner back. So both those guys have thrown for 3
I tried
years.
that last year, Nick. I bought the hat and everything. Just tough. USC. They're still playing at the great park of Irvine, though. So
I thought they were back. I thought they were back this year.
Not in the beginning of the season.
Okay,
you're
still
thinking, playing away.
Maybe it's my Big Ten play.
Like
I saw
45 minutes away.
Yeah, I thought they were playing back at home. Maybe it's only by Big Ten time or something. Because I thought that's what I was thinking was they're finally back at their home ballpark this season. But if they're not, then heck no, stay away.
What was their leading batting average last year? Like 236.
Oh, it was awful. It was terrible.
They were. Yeah, that's a 2-1 loss.
It's almost like nobody forgets. Like that is the most successful program in the history of college baseball.
Wow. Yeah, they have like 12 titles.
Yeah, and it just seems
there
so
he
funny.
is.
Big Blue Nation in the house. There we go.
We talked about you earlier in the show. You have to rewind. So,
yeah, you look at the SEC odds; they're more scattered, I guess, because they just think that they're going to beat each other up. But I'm surprised more like the Big 12 and the Big 10 isn't like that. Like A&M's plus 450, where Oregon's even money to win the Big 10. Like I don't think it's that drastic of a difference as far as like competition in the conference. You have Texas A&M at a much higher price to win it. I think you could take some long shots in the Big 10, Big 12.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
USC still plays in Irvine.
Okay, there you go. Thank you.
I just wonder if it's all season or if they're going to make the transition when Big
What's
10
up with to end it? But UCLA's having like an issue with their stadium. It was illegally built on grounds that were stated, but then the donation wasn't official. Like, are they going to be? It kind of got quiet there. Are they going to be playing there, or like, what's their status?
I don't know, but I think Sunday Puncher's saying Oregon better suited to make Omaha than win Big Ten. I agree.
Yeah.
Woo! Got 1K on Arizona State and 500 on Clemson. I moved the lines.
Probably did that number.
A couple dollars.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't get limited with that kind of action on college baseball.
He will be now.
Yeah. You're on the radar.
Hopefully
All right. Well, that wraps it up. If you guys don't have anything else, thank you all for tuning in. We're so excited for the season to get underway. Now I'm not going to be able to sleep.
I can officially say tomorrow without you guys getting on me.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah.
We are less than 24 hours away.
Let's go. We'll see you guys next week.